Welcome to another Secret Influence TV interview. Today I'm interviewing Steve Judge. Steve is a professional award-winning speaker, author, resilience coach. Steve's mission is to deliver his story that took him from wheelchair to world champion and beyond. And in the interview today, he's going to explain how he didn't lean the excuses for journey and the learnings he gained so to help and empower people. So welcome to Secret Influence TV, Steve.
Hi, Nick. It's good to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me on. I'm really excited about talking about my journey, but I know that you've got like a structural questions that you want to ask me, and that really excites me. So hopefully you can dig down deep and get some really good answers, some unique answers for your audience and for your listeners.
Great. So, Steve, so first of all, you've got a very powerful story to share. Can you share your story of becoming a gold medalist and how that shaped your life?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very hard because it's a big story. It's a long story. It probably spans over about 20 years or so. But anyway, I will cut it down. So where do I start? I mean, as a kid. So that's always a good place to start, but suddenly think, oh, it's going to take a long time. But I'll go through it briefly. As a kid, I loved running. Running was my thing. Liberation, freedom. I love being outside and active. And scouting was another thing that I really liked doing for the fun, the challenge, and the adventure, and the life skills and the opportunities. So I was always very active. When I left school, I worked down the coal pits of Yorkshire. I wanted more for myself. I became an engineer in that, and life was okay. I was doing all right. Still doing the running as a young adult now. But it was around the year 2002, April 2002. I was driving on the outskirts of Sheffield where I live, and I skidded on a wet patch of road, and that took me out of control, and that was horrible. Dabbing the brakes and doing the steering wheel, but nothing was working. Eventually, crashing into a pole, getting the car bent in half, and everybody came to save me. The police, the ambulance, the fire brigade. It took them about an hour and a half to cut me free from the car and eventually dragged me out of the car along with what was left of my legs. Now, they mercy dashed me to the nearest hospital. They took me into the operating theatre. And when I came to, I was still alive, clearly, but I was left with two very messed up legs, shall I say. My left leg had been wrenched apart at the knee. My right leg had been partially amputated. And I was told that I may never walk again. These words are kind of like a turning point in my life, because I could have just rolled over in bed and gone, okay, I give in. I'll never walk again, and just accepted that. But there was something inside me, Nick, that was really angry that somebody had the audacity to say that to me. And I just felt, I guess this is the fight, isn't it? The fight and the flight. I just felt that I was going to prove them wrong. I was going to show them who I was. I was going to show them that I could do whatever they told me to do. And that means physio, rehabilitation. I had to grow my leg back by twisting nuts and bolts on my leg. I had to learn how to stand again. I had to learn how to walk again. And this took me over about a year and a half. And yes, eventually I did achieve that. I stood again, I walked again, but I had mass disability on both of my legs, with lack of movement, lack of feeling, lack of I had sensitive issues and all sorts. So I had to get a different mindset, and I had to start thinking about what I could do rather than what I couldn't do. And so I started getting physical. I could swim, so I swam. I got onto a bike. I started doing that. I started looking for events and competitions almost. Found this thing called para triathlon, swimming, cycling, and running for disabled people. I started running again after 7.5 years since the accident, and it was incredible. There was still loads of pain, and the next day I couldn't run. But again, I thought about what I could do rather than what I couldn't do, and I swam and I biked. And basically, this took me into the world of para triathlon, swimming, cycling, running. I did my first competition and I won in my category, becoming British champion. I then set new goals and new opportunities came to me, which I grabbed hold of with both hands. I set my goal to become European champion, which I achieved. And then I set the big one to become world champion, which I then worked towards with hard training, still working full time at this point in health and safety. Had a family with 2 kids, now an elite athlete in swimming, cycling, running, went over to Beijing, China, competed against the rest of the world and crossed the finish line to grab that gold medal. And and the relief that I felt at that point, there'd been lots of stages, stepping stones throughout that period, but getting across the finish line in 2011, that's what, 9 years after the accident, being told that I made ever walking and now world champion, just very emotional of all the hard work that I put through, not necessarily just as an elite athlete, but also through the rehabilitation. If I hadn't done all that work in my physio and my rehabilitation, then I never would have been able to do the next step and the next step and the next step and then cross the finish line. So that all came over me, and just like an amazing, as well as the celebration, of course, because I got a gold medal. So I carried on with that for another couple of years, became 2 times world champion. I retired in 2014. And what I really wanted to do then was give back. I wanted to give back. I've achieved so much in my life, with the achievements, with the gold medal, with the trophies. I wanted to help other people to achieve whatever they wanted to do. And that could be various things, could be academic, could be health, wealth, happiness. I know how to do it, and I just wanted to share that. So I started off my business as a professional speaker. That was 7 years ago. That's going really well. I'm now a 2 times author, sharing my knowledge and expertise and helping people to achieve their gold, I call it. So GOLD for me is an acronym for your goal, your opportunity, your love, your dream. And to do that, I'm always looking for opportunities. And so this brings us here on your podcast on Secret Influence TV, Nick, so that I can share my story and share my wisdom, my knowledge, and help your listeners to achieve the gold in their life. And that's what makes me buzz. And so once again, thank you for this opportunity.
Well, I mean, obviously an incredible story. And I remember when I heard you speak on stage and you showed the photos to go with it. I mean, it's clearly an incredible journey you've been through. Obviously, mindset is what it's such an important thing, and having the resilience to get through things, and having the right mindset is what kept you going, and what you're sort of using now in your business to share with other people. Was there there must have been obviously challenges along the way to keep that that mindset in that way. You must have had a real sort of challenges. How did you manage to sort of keep going through all those challenges? How did you manage to keep, what was your sort of what kept you going? I mean, you must have obviously got dark moments. Sort of up and downs. What?
I think what kept me motivated. And you're right, Nick, there were some down moments, lots of them. My goodness me, when I was in hospital, when I was doing the physio and just seeing no results or minimal results, or even when I went backwards, as in I had to go for another operation, which put me back in the wheelchair or back off the crutches. It was so frustrating. As an elite athlete is similar. When I got beaten or when I got an injury or a niggle. So what kept me motivated in those times? I think first of all, I had downtimes, and I'm openly admitting that I felt low, and maybe I struggled to get myself out of bed on those days, or to do my physio, or to do the exercise, and that's fine. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you speak to yourself. So as long as I speak to myself, can't tell people what to do. I spoke to myself and said, okay, let's have some time out. Let's sulk for a little bit or whatever. But how long are we going to do this for? And I just kept checking in on myself. Are we still sulking? You're still sulking, right? Okay, let's sulk for a little bit longer. But when are we going to get out of this? Because at some point we are. Of course we are. Life goes on. So we're going to give it an hour, a day, a week, hopefully not a week. But just kept on checking in on myself and talking to myself to work out what I could do. Now, I use some methods of like visualization. And visualization for me is very much about focusing on what I want to achieve, not on what I want to avoid. It's very tempting to say, look, I don't want to be unhappy anymore. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be lonely, blah, blah, blah. You're focusing on what I wanted to avoid. If I've turned that round and said, right, Steve, I want to be happy. What makes me happy? What do I need to do? I need to do I don't want to do my physio, but I want to stand again. I want to walk again. I want to be a world champion. I want to cross that finish line. I can vision that now. The audience going, the crowd are going crazy, grabbing that gold medal. What does that feel like? What does that, how do I see that? And that made me work towards it. That dragged me out a little bit, as well as many other things like music. I use music a lot to keep me motivated. Just clicking that button to press play, and then you've got the playlist that really helps me lift me up. So this is what I did in my journey, and I still do in my business. Let's talk about the pandemic. That was a tough time as a conference speaker. There weren't many conferences during the pandemic, and I felt low and I was sulking, and this is so unfair, and the pandemic's trying to beat me and my business, and I needed income. I need to put food in the fridge, and I've got 2 kids, etc., etc. And you go, okay, so you sulked for a little bit, and then I said, okay, Steve, so we need to get going. We need to get some money, and we need to get some food in the fridge, because sulking is not working. It doesn't work.
Sure.
You've got to take action. And the fundamental key to success is taking action. You can read books and watch videos, you can get coaches, and you can get so much advice and knowledge, but if you don't do anything, then it doesn't work. And so that I had to mix the two, keep myself motivated, have a plan, but then take action and get into a habit, a routine of doing the things that I needed to do for survival. And I mean survival in rehabilitation, just as it was. Survival in as an athlete to become the top one, and survival in my business. I didn't want it to fold. I love doing my business, and in 2020 onwards, it was struggling. So all of those things helped me to move on and carry on and focus on what I wanted to achieve. I think that's the main takeaway there, is focus on that and then work out what you need to do that.
Well, a couple of things I think you picked up and you said, which I really liked, was about having a clear, strong vision, which I guess motivates you. You've always got in your mind, well, that's where I want to be. That's I know I want to be, and that's it. And the sort of the thing about small steps and bite-sized chunks, because I think it's easy in life to starting a new business, get overwhelmed, and of all the things we need to do, not quite sure what to do. So I think I like point there about breaking it down to sort of step by step, step by step chunks of to make it more manageable, to avoid the overwhelm.
Oh, absolutely, you so have to. And don't get me wrong, I'm an ex-athlete. I'm impatient. I want it now. So I'm always thinking about, why can't I get it now? And I say to myself, Steve, you need to break it down into chunks. You can't do it all in one day, in 24 hours or 1 week. And I still get it wrong. I set some goals this year, at the beginning of the year, and I said by the end of March. I gave myself 3 months. I was wrong, because by the end of 3 months, I'd done one of them. I'd launched a book, amazing thing, okay? But I hadn't done all the other goals because I'd been launching the book. I can't do everything. And so those 3-month goals have now extended onto a 12-month goal. So I've given myself a whole year to do them instead of 3 months. Now, I've done some of those already. That's great, but I've not done the other ones because they take a long time to do. And so I still do get it wrong. And I keep having to have a word with myself, and I have a mastermind group that helped me with that as well. And it's accountability, because it's a bit depressing. It's a bit low when we set a goal and you don't achieve it in the time span. It's deflating. And so I'm kind of kicking myself in the shins by doing it. So I need to make sure that I set realistic timescales. And that only comes from experience sometimes. How long is it going to take you? I have no idea. I have no idea how long it's going to take to write a workshop, deliver a workshop, etc. But yeah, just be kind with yourself, as to give yourself a bit more time. And if you need to extend it, and I'm not saying like leaning on excuses, but if you got it wrong, admit that you got it wrong. No such thing as failure, only feedback. Take that feedback on board, and then do it again, try again.
Well, I mean, fantastic advice there, and a lot of your sort of things you talk about in some of your books. So just to talk about your book to start with. So I think I've got one here which is gold.
Gold.
As you can show it here, gold. So 5 winning ways to unlock the power of potential and achieve your goals. So and you've got another book as well, which I think is more about your journey.
Yeah.
So just start with what was there something which prompted you to start writing, and what, just talk a bit about the process of it, how did you approach it, and how was the experience of doing it?
Totally. I've never met so many people that have written a book until I joined the Professional Speaking Association and the the group of people that are speakers, and everybody seemed to have written a book. Whether it was on leadership or sales or marketing or autobiography, everybody seemed to have written a book about kind of what they were talking about. And I've got an amazing story. Of course I have. And people said to me, Steve, great story. Have you got a book? I was like, I haven't got a book. They said, well, why haven't you got a book? I said, I've never written a book. They said, well, you need to write a book. I said, okay, I'll make it a goal and I'll write a book. And so that was one of my passionate goals. And what was more passionate for me about that was that when people hear me speak for half an hour, 45 minutes, they think they know my story, but they don't. They only know the bits that I've shared of my story. So when I wrote my autobiography, it's got everything in it. It's quite a thick book. It was 100,000 words. So it's a big book. It's an autobiography.
Sure, yeah.
But it's got everything in it. And that made me really happy that if people think they know my story, that's great. And you like it, read the book, read the full book. And I really wanted to get across because as a motivational speaker, there are obviously some low bits, but there's a lot of high bits finishing on a crescendo, and it's all good and everybody's smiling and clapping and it's great. But I wanted to get across that there are lots of low bits. And I think that really touches with people more because they're going through tough times and they just see the shining light. So it's like on social media, people compare their insides to other people's outsides. And we just see all the positive stuff. And that's good. I like positive stuff. But sometimes we need to see the authentic tough times as well so that we can relate to it. That's the first book. Also, the first book, I realized that I didn't have to write it to any rules. There are no real rules on writing a book. You can do whatever you want.
Sure.
There's some suggestions and a bit of a structure, but it was really good for me to be a bit more liberated with it. So I've got a list of songs for the journey in the first couple of pages so people can know what songs I listen to. I'm not saying that anybody else should like them. They're my songs. That's what I use. They've got Eminem, AC/DC, it's got Bucks Fizz, Chesney Hawks. It's got all sorts of things, but they help me. It's got poems throughout the book that I've written. It's got diary entries. It's got inspirational quotes. It's got lots of photos. I think photos are amazing. I got lots of photos. And my publisher said, Steve, it's not a photo album. You need to remove some photos. It's only got 50 photos in, but that's still a lot for a book. But I felt that it was really good because it explains a bit more of who I am. So that book was very much about who I am, my story, which is great. But like I've said already, I really wanted to help people to achieve the goal in their life. So the book maybe inspire, motivate them, but it doesn't help them so much. So that's when I thought of a new book. I need a new book. And this has got the 5 winning ways to unlock the power of your potential and achieve your goals, the 5 winning ways. So this is what I've done is I've knuckled it down to just 5 things that you need to do to achieve your goal. And the 5 things that I believe. And what's unique about this is my concept. So I call it the good to gold concept. And these 5 things is what I used when I was in hospital, wheelchair, rehabilitation. These are the 5 things that I used as an elite athlete, as taking it up as a hobby to becoming a world champion. And it worked and I achieved. And now I've used those 5 things in my business, starting out from scratch, no clients, 0. I think my first year, the money coming in was minus £1,000. It was tough times, but I learned. And things take time. I'm impatient. Things take time. And then we had the pandemic and there's a bit of a dip. But now 7th year, I'm still here. I'm surviving. I'm thriving. Things are going well. Why? Because I'm using those 5 things. And I just want to share those 5 winning ways with other people so that they can achieve what they want to do. If they achieve, that makes me happy. That is my goal, is to be happy. And you've got to think about what does make you happy. Yeah, going on holidays, having a nice car, nice house. Yeah, they make me happy, but I think they're standard. But what really brings it true into yourself, your soul, your heart, is when you actually see the smile on other people's faces when they're achieving the things. I think it becomes more of a legacy then. And it's very much, I love this quote where you can't control things that happen to you, but you can control how you react to the things that happen to you. So my accident happened, I couldn't control that. But I could control how I did my rehabilitation, where I went from there, getting a world champion status, showing the accident what I could do. And now I'm using all that pain and sorrow that I went through, that inspiration, that motivation to help others and as many people as possible. I'm talking about global. I'm a global speaker now, but there's a lot of people. Is it 9 billion? So I've got a lot of work to go for. But that drives me forward. How do I reach out to them? Yes, speaking, yes, a book, yes, podcasts, etc. But I'm always asking myself, what more can I do? What more can I do? What more can I do? And then that process is what I used, to write the book, to get up early in the morning. It was my passion, and that's what drove me forward. What do I want? What do I focus on? What I want to achieve? I want to stand there on a stage with a new book in my hand. That's what I want to do. I want to give that book out to people, sell it to some, give it to others, people that can't afford it. Okay, have a copy,
Sure.
read the book, do the exercises, take action, and achieve your goals. And to do all of that, I had to get up early. So it's about motivating myself all the time about the end goal, the end result.
And I mean, there's obviously 5 different ways. I mean, one of them that I stood out for me as one I particularly liked was about having your winning sort of goal team. I quite like that idea. I think we all need to have our back, or close team we can, perhaps a mentor or coach or a good friend, to there to support us, and that's one that particularly stood out to me. I mean, there's 5 winning ways there. Is there one way which is your sort of top, for your favorite of 5 in that sense? Or
I think probably the first one. So I've got all 5, and I tried to put them in an order, and they kind of fell into an order, but it might be different for everybody. I understand everybody's different, and to be honest, other people might have more than 5. I mean, I love the thing is that people don't pay for information; they pay for presentation. So these 5 winning ways, there's nothing new. They've been out there for donkey's years, okay? But it's how I present it across. So the 5 winning ways, the first one is your golden vision. So that is very much about focusing on what you want to achieve, but not only that, drawing a picture. You draw a picture of where you are now, and where you want to avoid maybe, and where you want to be. And put as much detail in that as possible, color and all sorts. This is what I did. I drew a picture in hospital about what I wanted to achieve as an elite athlete. I drew a picture of me becoming a world champion in business. I've got lots of pictures on my vision board here that I've drawn. So I get everybody to draw a picture in my workshops. The next one is your golden soul, and that is basically why. Why do you want that? Why do I want to be on the stage? Why do I want to help people? Why do people want to buy a new car, a Rolex watch, a big house? Why do they want to fall in love? Why do they want to be happy? What makes them happy? But also, who's around them when they are happy? So digging down deep, finding inside your golden soul, what will you get from this? What will you lose from it? How will it change your mindset when you achieve this thing, your gold? That's really important, because when the going gets tough, you need to get going, and your golden soul will help you with that. The next one is your golden gear. I've already said it once. What more can you do? What more can you do? What more can you do? It's like a brainstorm, like a spider diagram. You constantly put down all the things that you need to do, and you have pretty much got most of the answers in your head already. If you wanted to, I don't know, run a marathon, then you're probably going to have to start getting fit, eat better, go out for training runs, maybe get a coach. I mean, these answers are just basic. Once you come to an end of it, you think, I don't know what else I can do, then ask somebody else. Ask more people of what you can do to achieve your goal. Explain why it's important to you so that they're on board with you. But if you explain that heart and sleeve, this is what I really want to do. Can you help me? Which brings me on to the next one, which is your golden gang. Who's in your golden gang? Now, there's 3 elements of your golden gang. The first one is commencement, then it's achievement, then it's fulfillment. So commencement, who do you need in your golden gang just to start something, just to get going? And sometimes that's just you and the mirror, you and your own voice, you and some YouTube clips. Just get going. It might be a loving partner, supportive partner, some friends, some family. I don't know, just get the ball going. Now, to achieve, you need more people in your golden gang. So a lot of people see me on the stage, but they don't know all the people behind me. My website guy, my virtual assistant, my accountant, my mastermind group, my business coach, my supportive partner. There's lots of people that have helped me to come where I am. And I had that as an elite athlete, and I had that in the hospital. Hospital, of course, the NHS, with the doctors, the surgeons, the nurses, the admin, the family again, the friends, loads of people. So who's in your golden gang? Who do you need? Well, who's in your golden gang now, and who will help you achieve? Now, the last one is fulfillment. So getting up to who do you need in your golden gang to take you up to fulfillment? And what I mean by that is this visualization, this image of being better than better, the gold. So for me as a speaker, a chauffeur to drive me to my gigs. How amazing would that be? Somebody who did all my social media for me, a nutritionist who made me my own some food down in the kitchen to keep me fit and healthy, a personal trainer, because sometimes I struggle to keep myself fit. So they would hold me accountable. So there's lots of people I'd still like to have in my business, an SEO expert, all these people, experts in the business that I could almost delegate to, so that I could do the thing that I love doing. And that is standing on the stage and inspiring and motivating. That's all I want to do. As a business owner, I realize I have to do a lot more at the moment, but the goal is to get a golden gang that take me up to fulfillment. Now, the last winning way is your golden hour. You've got to put a deadline on it, I'm afraid. I hate deadlines. And I've already explained that I'm not very good at them. 3 months to 12 months, etc. But at least I got something. You put a line in the sand that you say, right, by this date, by this year, by 5 years' time, I will have achieved that. And you say, you start there, 5 years' time, I'm going to achieve that, and then work your way back. So in 4 years, I need to be here. 3 years, I need to be here. 2 years here. So by the end of this year, I need to at least be here, because if I'm not there in 5 years' time, I'm not going to get there. So it's about putting a line in the sand, working out what you need to do. And we often overestimate what we can do in the short term and underestimate what we can do in the long term. Be kind with yourself. Give yourself a bit of time to get things going. But those are the 5 winning ways that are easily transferable in everybody's goal, that thing that they want to achieve.
Yeah, great explanation there. I mean, I've read the book and I love the fact that they're things that I can relate to them. And I when I read the book, I thought, yeah, these are things that are practical things that actually I know I should be doing these, but they're like you read a book and you know these things you need to do and they're practical, but also the way you frame it in your language. I love it. I love the golden gang, the golden vision. I love your own unique language, and it's all wrapped in that motivating sort of package. But one question I have for you is, obviously you're very busy, and you've got your personal life and your business life and speaking engagements and training. How do you find it managing all your time? Do you find it's a challenge managing all these different parts of your life, and is there do you approach it in a certain way? Are you someone who's very schedule everything in advance? Do you have a I think heard you mention you get up very early, but how do you manage all your different?
I must admit, I'm not very good at scheduling stuff, and I've been told various times. I know other people do it, and they seem amazing at everything they achieve. They structure every hour of the day, and I should do that more, and I don't. I've tried, and I will try again, because I see the benefit of it. I just cram a lot in my day. I think of what I do is I go with priorities. So I do make a plan for the start of the week and say, right, this week I've got to do this, because in this month I've got to do this, and by this year I've got to do that. And it does start at 5:30 in the morning. I get out of bed, and that's the start of my day, whether it's winter or summer. Summer's dead easy because it's light. Winter, nightmare. But I understand for me, that's my time. I think I discovered this early morning thing as an elite athlete, because I needed to. If I wanted to become a world champion, I needed to find some time before I started work. So I got out of bed and I went swimming before work, and then I went running at lunchtime and cycling in the evening. Not every day, but just, I was always thinking about how I could squeeze the time in. So I'm running my business. Again, I'm really passionate about making a success of it. So I'm thinking, oh, well, there's this pocket of time in the morning that not many people seem to know about. They generally set their alarms for 7 and 7:30 or whatever. But by setting it just earlier, then you get an extra hour, 2 hours of time. Well, that's great. Essential when I was writing my book. I'm running my business throughout the day. So how was I going to write a book? So it's the early mornings. I remember some mornings I even set my alarm for 4:00 in the morning, got up and started writing, because I needed to get that chapter finished. Now, I'm not saying I did that a lot, but, it's there, that pocket of time. And it's not magic, okay? It doesn't magically come. The only way you can get up early in the morning is by going to bed early at night. It's obvious, isn't it? And that means 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, no later than 10, really. Get some good quality sleep. You can't run on no sleep. So get some good quality sleep. And then wake up. So I do my morning routine, which is generally reading a book, doing some visualization, bit of exercise. and then planning my day, thinking about what am I going to do today, just writing a list. And usually I follow my gut. Your gut knows what you need to do. Oh, crikey, that deadline's coming up. I really need to do that. I need to do that presentation. Anything that makes me nervous, anything that makes my stomach go, then I think, oh, I better do that. So that's how I plan my day. There's obviously a little bit of structure as well, as in emails, admin, social media, the things that you need to do. My main focus at the moment is my business. So that's the main thing. My fitness is very important to me. So that's probably comes down a little bit, as well as my kids. I don't want to like prioritize them as which kid comes first or anything like that. But it all comes after probably my business. I've got to earn some money, got to get some money coming in. I need to keep fit and healthy, set myself a goal, did a triathlon 2 weeks ago, swimming, cycling, running. That was great. And now that I haven't got that goal, I'm struggling now to do exercise. I still do a little bit, but not as much. That's fine. I'm fit, I'm healthy. I need to work on my business. And then there's other things. I'm a Cub Scout leader. So I give a lot of my time to the Scouts. So the other weekend, I was on a Cub camp. So that's the whole weekend gone. But so much planning goes in towards that I had to give my time for that. And I get a real buzz from that. But it's draining. There's a lot of time that goes out to that. And I've got Cubs tonight, and I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I'll wing it. If anything, we'll just go for a walk in the woods and do some adventure games. So yeah, I guess I am juggling in a way. And I think maybe that is me. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Nobody's perfect. But, it probably gives me that adrenaline, that rush of living life to the edge almost. Nothing dangerous here, but just timelines and stuff. But that's the way I operate. In a way, I wish I wasn't. I wish I could be more structured, like I said. And maybe that's something I need to work on. See how it goes. Structure every hour of the day for the week and see if I like that or not. I find it would be hard because if I get an email that comes in for a potential gig, then I just move everything to one side and do that. So you've always got to have a bit of flexibility when you're running your own business. But yes, it is a juggling act. I guess I run on adrenaline a little bit, and I'm not perfect, but I'm getting results, and that's the main thing.
I think I think it's from what you're saying, it's certainly about having good habits and discipline, and you certainly seem to have it with getting up early in the morning. I think there's one thing you said. I mean, we all have the same amount of time in the day, and one of the most common first complaints we make is we don't have enough time to do things, and certainly I think you've made an important point there, Walk, that we could actually get up early, and that's a way of having more time. And I think it's certainly about the balance between being really disciplined and structured, but building enough flexibility when things come up. We need to adapt. With you've touched about like trying to help everyone. I mean, and you obviously do, you do the Cub Scouts for sort of younger children. You speak on stage to adults. Is there a particular niche for people? Is there a particular type, people you particularly, would like to help the most, or do like speaking to the most? I mean,
who do I want to help the most? Okay, I think the answer is everybody. I don't mind at all. But who do I like helping? I like helping people that are wanting the help. People who are open. I always say hungry tigers run faster. I like helping hungry tigers. I like an audience who are there, poised, ready to take on the advice, to do something, to take action. Following my talk, I want them to rush out the door and go and do something, not go, that was I might do something about it. I don't want those people. I know there's lots of people out there like that, and I will help them. Of course I will. But for me, it's a lot easier to help people who are very open. For me, one of the hardest audiences are teenagers. They sit there with their arms folded. They think they know everything. Yes, of course, I inspire, motivate them, but there's no oomph there. There's no adrenaline kicking into them. Some of them there is, and it's usually the 80-20 rule. So it's hard work for me to work with people like that. So if there's somebody that wants to achieve, I really, really want to do this. I really want to achieve this goal. I'm like, hell yeah, let's get on with it. Let's do this. I'm going to give you so much advice. I'm going to give you the book, the workshop. Let's have a one-to-one, a Zoom. and they're going to be, yeah, that's great, and they will go and actually do something, and they're the ones that will achieve. So yeah, I think that's it. The other one is the new generation, the young kids, because they're ignorant, and there's a lot of negativity out there that will drag them down. A lot of people that will say, oh, you can't do that. I love going in, and especially like what we're talking, my cubs are 8 to 10 years old, so we can do this exercise, as you might have guessed, draw a picture of what you want to achieve and work towards it. So it's just a question is, what do you want to do when you grow up? Whether they want to be an astronaut or a YouTuber or rock star or an Olympian or vet or doctor or surgeon, lots of things. And I just say, that's great. Tell me more. Add a bit more detail. Put some color to it. You want to be a YouTuber? Great. How many followers have you got going, etc. It's just a visualization. It's something that they really want. I'm not a teacher. I'm not saying, oh, well, I don't think that's a very wise decision. Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to achieve that. Oh, an astronaut, do you know how much training goes into becoming an astronaut? Blah, blah, blah. It's crushing them down straight away. I just go, yeah, hell with it. That sounds great. And I think they need that, especially, having a goal and working towards it. Now, things change. We know that things change as you grow old, and maybe in 5 years' time, the picture that they draw will be a different picture, and then a different picture. And then they realize that there is a lot of training that goes into some of these things, and things change and they have a different picture. And as we go through life, we have lots of different pictures in our lives that we work towards. Similar to the badges, the scout badges you get down your arm, we have lots of different badges that we do. And some of the badges you're good at, and some of them you're not so good at, and you learn from that. But at least you tried it. And I want to encourage everybody to try and do those things. Write those things. If you want to write a book, write a book. Okay, it might not be the #1 bestseller book. I don't know, but it might be. But write it. Let's have a go at doing it. You can do it. A lot of people say, I haven't got time to write a book. You're like, who put the time limit on that then? There is no time limit. You can take 20, 30 years to write a book if you want. Just start it. Do a sentence a day, a paragraph, maybe a page a day, if that's what you want. If you don't want to do it, then that's fine. But if you do want to do it, then let's work together.
On that point about sort of a dreaming thing, and which about children. I've got a 7-year-old son. He just started Cubs, and he's his sort of stories and his imagination and what he wants to do. I think I find it quite inspiring. And I think I saw a TED talk, and it was about how we're sort of in one way we're often told to be more realistic in life, and which and set expectation, not that daydream, or not be unrealistic. And we're told to sort of temper our dreaming in that way, and be more more practical in as we're at school and things. But actually the dreamers, if you look at sort of Apple, or Elon Musk even, or some of the people who have started groundbreaking innovative companies, or done things with exploring the world, and some of these it's because they were dreamers, and Apple would never come about if they didn't the person dream about this what they want to achieve with the technology. And so I think actually we're some ways told not to become daydreamers, but to be more very practical. But actually the most successful people in the world have said in their own words, it's because they were dreamers. They had that dream. So,
that sounds good. Nick, you'll have to send me a link to that TED talk. That sounds good. I love stuff like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, definitely, Steve. I know that you constantly got another engagement at 9 meetings. So, what what's your plans for next year? And what is your next big thing you want to do? And also perhaps just to add into that, if people wanted to see you speak, or perhaps get a copy of your book, how would they certainly sort of check out
okay, so yeah, my goal is to really big up my professional speaking area of my business, become a premium professional speaker, higher than where I am at the moment. So I've got a lot of work to do on that. I'm also working heavily on my workshop. So like I said, the book Gold is a workshop within itself, and I'm doing more of those face-to-face now. I'm going to do some online as well, because I want to help people. That's the whole point. So yeah, to do the workshop from that would be great. Also, it gives me an upsell from when I've spoken on the stage, then we can move on to the workshop. I've got a great vision of my own scout badge. That's by the end of this year. and that will tie into the workshop and all the work they do towards that. So by them drawing a picture of what they want to become, then they earn their scout badge, the gold scout badge. But as they get older, they have to do more than just draw a picture. They have to work their way through the workshop and the book. So they're the big things that I want to do at the moment, and just get it out there, get my ideas and my workshop, and how people can contact me is my website is www.steve-judge.co.uk. I'm all over social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So if you want to connect, please let's connect. And if you've got any questions, please put them towards me. I will be more than happy to answer. And if I can help anybody, even more so, people want to hear me speak, the best things to watch my social media, sign up to my newsletter, but you can do that by going onto the website, and that has information about upcoming gigs that you can book yourself on and hear the whole thing.
And
no problem. It's been a delight. It's been really nice speaking to you, Nick, and thanks for the questions, digging down deep, and I hope your audience and your listeners have got a lot from it as well.